Say goodbye to whatever value your currency had left. Cash is absolutely trash. This is the most speculative market ever. Tulip mania was understood to be a bubble at that time. It was a fantasy, but many wanted to gamble. Today we're told the markets will never fall again because the Fed cares deeply for everyone. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. And now back to reality. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to talk about cash is trash. We're going to look at what the Federal Reserve has done. We are going to talk about what the government is doing and their expansionary policies. This is creating inflation you see in certain prices and of course deflating others. There are many who talk about the fact that both of these things are happening simultaneously, but they are caused by the same thing, and that is trying to pump in worthless garbage and actually devaluing your currency when you go to buy the store and the things that you need to purchase on a daily basis, your food, your energy, and so on, generally over time, though there are fluctuations, will be worth less. You'll be able to pay for less at the end of the day. We've got people hurting bad today. I'll show you some examples of that. At the same time, you've got the most speculative market ever in history. I'm going to cover information on that. Way too much data here, so let's begin. I talked about this, I believe, in the previous video. Janet Yellen, she's so fantastic. She's so amazing. Isn't she lovely? Well, Yellen is an excellent choice for Treasury Secretary. They say there has been a lot of support hoping that she becomes the next Treasury Secretary. The Federal Reserve is often referred to as being the head of the snake when you look into it and you see how much control they really have, and people should get wise to that fact. Even Bloomberg is talking about this. Janet Yellen at the Treasury points to era of Fed control. She's not the only one that has come from the Fed into this type of position. Geithner, I believe they mentioned here, was from the Fed, but not the chair as far as I'm aware. But anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. Essentially, what we're just looking at is more control from the Fed. There are people who come and go, the revolving door between government and different institutions, whether it's coming from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and all the big banks. You look at the big agribusinesses, and then you see what happens in the different positions of power. They're in and they're out, and they're moving and shuffling around, and not much is getting changed. It doesn't happen like this where, we're going to get rid of these few people and we're going to bring things back and we're going to restore this and that. It's all talk. Everybody tells you that things will change, and it never does because the entire system is rotten. If you give the government power, if you give people in positions power over you and over what you can decide, they will destroy everything that you have. And it happens time and time and time again. It doesn't matter if it's Janet Yellen. It doesn't matter if it's the little munchkin. When you go down the yellow brick road, you will find that unfortunately they're taking more and more from you and I. Look, this is the largest 2-week inflow to global stocks ever. And what should that tell you? Should that be, now's the time to buy in? Or is it now's the time to sell? Well, I'll give you some facts about what the insiders are doing right now, but I just wanted to show you this to give you an idea of what's happening here in the markets themselves. Look, you can speculate by looking at the Tesla stock. You can see what's going on with the PE ratios. You can decide because you looked at the Robinhood and finding out who's buying what, because you can track that information. I talked about that before. Or you can look at the EPFR, and the EPFR provides this data and you could see it, and it is constantly tracking where the money is moving to and from. And right now, the most money ever moving into stocks. Does that mean it's a bubble and it's going to pop tomorrow? Absolutely not. That's not what I said, but it just shows you what's been happening in these trends, and it's becoming extremely dangerous to say the least. Take a look at this Bloomberg chart. Insider buying and selling. Historical values of buying and selling. Red is obviously sales. Not many purchases going on by insiders, but I'll tell you right now, the amount of sales is historic. At least what we have here. This chart just shows us basically from 2019 up until the present, and it is unbelievable. They're always selling. Insiders are always selling because as the stock moves up, they are able to hit certain points and then they can sell off some, and then they just basically repeat this process. So their salary might be a certain amount. Let's just make up a number. Let's say $1 million, and that's their salary. But if it hits this point and that point and that point along the way, they are able to sell off some of their stock. And in doing so, they are essentially making up for the rest of their total compensation. So you have to understand the way that this works and the way that they are constantly going through these sales. So you see on here, it looks like, oh my goodness, the insiders are really pessimistic. That's not really that true. But when you see a historic amount, that is a warning signal. There's no doubt, because they believe that, hey, now's the time. The market's been moving up a lot. I might take a little bit off the top, and then they're going to go invest in something else. They're not necessarily going to take it off the top and go put it and hide it in their bunker, or you might find that some are doing so. And what's behind all of this? Well, I think it's pretty clear. 21% of all US dollars were printed in 2020. I mean, I had to repeat it to myself over and over and over again. And then I thought, no, that's impossible. It can't be possible. There's no way. But here you can see it. On the side, on the right side, it's just showing you MZM money stock in the US dollar in the trillions. And on the left-hand side, annual MZM money stock growth in the US dollar trillions. And given us this range from 1990 up until the present, and nothing even comes close. Absolutely nothing even comes close to what we're seeing today. The amount of money that's been pumped in either through different stimulus measures, all the different packages that they've put in, or from the Federal Reserve. And then look around the world. Look at what the ECB is doing. The BOJ and the PBOC and all of the other central banks have expanded their balance sheets. The governments are doing all that which they can at this point to make the conditions easier. And I will show that to you, how easy financial conditions are today. And this, to me, is a huge shocker. Even the biggest bull in the entire world, Jim Cramer, is actually saying, quote, the most speculative environment he's ever seen. That should be something, that should be a warning flag. That should be, some lights going on and off and just blinking in people's heads, trying to make them wake up. Where is that? Where is the waking up process for people to realize that this is not normal? I don't care about where the stocks are going to go tomorrow. I don't care. I want people to acknowledge the fact that this is ridiculous. That's it. That's all. This is a circus. I'm losing the words to use to describe this garbage that we're seeing today. It is truly unfortunate how many people are getting sucked into this and they don't know when to sell. Look, the pros, they know when to sell. They've done the cycles because they've been there for 20, for 30 years. But the majority of the people who've been putting their money in 2019, 2020, and so on, these people are the retail traders who don't understand the cycles. Quote, where are the profit takers after these dizzying moves higher? And that's the question. You see that, and you're supposed to take some off the top, you reap the rewards, and maybe you reinvest somewhere else, but that doesn't happen. The very wealthy people aren't necessarily buying into stocks. That's what people who don't have a lot of money are doing right now because they're trying to accumulate. They're not looking for dividends. They are not trying to get cash flow. They are trying to expand what they have. I don't want to call it wealth, but they're trying to expand what they have. Rich Americans are increasingly looking for a second passport. In this example here, they're just showing you Eric Schmidt, and what he had done, I believe, was bought his way in to Cyprus because through an investment, I think it's a couple $1,000,000, you can get in, and then you're basically part of trying to get away. You get that second passport and citizenship, and allows him to get into the EU and so on. And this is what many have been doing, looking for a way out. Look at what's happening with real estate today. It is incredible to see this bubble and what has been happening with specifically the year over year on the Case-Shiller 20 City Composite Home Price Index accelerating rapidly. Remember, this is year over year, not necessarily just the prices, but it is just unbelievable. It's as if there's no problem. Everything's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But I wonder how much of it is actually creating pockets that will not be filled for a long period of time, or maybe even, who knows, for decades and decades. Because what I'm seeing is that a lot of places like Manhattan is something that might not be filled with as many people as they had hoped for quite a period, and we'll see what happens. I don't have too much to add to that, but let's go on. This is the article connected with that information. Just wanted to touch on the fact that they're suggesting this is the smallest number of available homes on record, and that's basically just pushing up the housing costs along with the low interest rates. Many people today are looking for more space. I've talked about this before. You know what's going on in most cities, that there is this crazy shift that's been occurring because of everything that's going on in 2020 here, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. Opposite end of the spectrum, Albuquerque residents lined up in their cars and trucks for a food bank distribution program at a local stadium parking lot ahead of Thanksgiving. This has been going on for a while now, where we're seeing this more and more and more and more, and very few want to acknowledge the disparity that has been created. And whenever you have a disparity, you've got a problem ahead, that's for sure. A little bit of ridiculousness here. Shoppers who shun credit cards will still borrow $20 for candy. I read that and I was thinking to myself, what are they talking about? Spending with buy now, pay later options has surged in the US. Regulators have scrutinized fees at Afterpay and other providers. Now, I don't even know how this even exists, but let me just, if you haven't seen this yet, okay. Consumers are flocking to buy now, pay later offers as online shopping surges in response to the crisis of 2020. Take Emanuele Alvarado's purchase of about $20 of Pika Pika candy a month ago. As she clicked her way to the checkout button, an offer caught her eye. Instead of paying for the chamoy flavored Mexican treats, I probably just butchered that, all at once, she could open an account with Afterpay and finance it in 4 equal installments. After tax and shipping, the company would automatically deduct about $6 from her account every 2 weeks. You want to buy snacks, and you are now going to do so with installments. This is just crazy to think about. You are going to pay for snacks in installments. I have no words for this. I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Not necessarily about this person and what they did, but about what this says about the value of the dollar and about the situation that people are in today. I'm going to end the video there. If you found it informative, hit that thumbs up button. When you do, you're supporting me. Thanks for being one of the 10% of people who will click a button on their screen. Thank you. If you want to learn how to sell stuff online, you can go out and there's millions and millions of videos and you can try and piece it all together, or you can actually learn for free at my website, theamazongps.com. The financial system is intentionally complex, and it is that way to keep you from knowing the truth. They don't want you to know what's going on behind it, the foundation, how to make money, and so on. They want to keep you really always in the dark and with these two books, I will bring this light upon the subject. If you want to take a look at the book for yourself, just flip through the pages of them at the link in the description. And if you want the audiobook instead, themoneygps.com. Wait a second, don't go anywhere. Have you seen this video? If not, you definitely want to catch it. Click it. I'll see you there.